Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, this is the Ramble. See what it says there, Alex? That's me, and we'll be here until midnight tonight on the East Coast of the United States, which you see right below you there. Ladies and gentlemen, the person you see there is out in Hollywood, California, where nobody's working, right?
Well, we're doing what we can, but, protocols are in place. And, in terms of screenwriting and stuff, I have a meeting tomorrow in NoHo at an outdoor cafe. We're trying. We're doing our best.
Mm-hmm.
The review aspects of my career continue because they're sending me screening links and enabling me to do various review things for GabNet and for Marina Times and so on. But these are very different times.
Very different times. It's being the movie business especially has been hit hard because it's hardly something you can do without being close to other people.
Right. The only thing that's proceeding, and again, I have 2 projects that are currently happening. The only things that I feel comfortable about proceeding with are animated projects because they can be done from cubicles.
Yeah, and they can be done from home if somebody really wants to do it.
Right. So, the voice work and stuff would be remote.
Yeah.
And we're proceeding on one of the projects, and another thing is sitting, waiting to be greenlit, and then there's this other thing that I'm doing, hopefully in the next few days, nailing down the deal, and it's going to probably be done via remote. It's going to be a short that's probably done via Zoom or something. So, things are dicey and different, and in various locations, I think Vancouver and a few other places, people are doing live action stuff.
Well, to talk to the movie business for a moment, I belong to SAG-AFTRA, and currently we're in a big fight with the union because what they did was they changed all our deals for health insurance, so that they got rid of ours completely, the one we had. And they're trying to get us to go to something else where they send us off to some insurance guys who then coordinate our benefits and blah, blah, blah. But it's not our insurance, okay? And for the people who are not 65 and are under, the terms for them to get insurance has changed, where they have to work so many days a year, they have to make $10,000 more money in a given year in order to even qualify for the benefits, right? And nobody's working.
Right.
So they can't qualify for the benefits. And then they changed one other thing, and that was if you're getting a pension, okay, and you're getting residuals, you can't have the residuals count as the money you brought in from union work. It used to be you could apply the residuals to that. Now you can't. That means, think about it, somebody like James Earl Jones, who doesn't do much anymore, but has a lot of voice work out there. He probably every day goes down to the mailbox and there's a whole fistful of residual checks, right? He can't get insured under this new system.
That makes no sense.
I know, it makes no sense. But anyway, the fact is the whole business has kind of changed, and everybody uses the pandemic as an excuse for bad behavior. Like my union is using it as an excuse for their bad behavior. And some people go, well, we can't handle that technical problem now because, the COVID's out there. Yeah, but you're working from home, You could answer the phone just as fast from home as you could if you were sitting at work.
I don't even want to get into the nightmarish rabbit hole I dove down for someone who has independent contractor and self-employment status in California. There's something called pandemic unemployment assistance that they were opening to those of us who do freelance. And like it or not, over the past 5, 6 months, a lot of my consulting work has dried up. Some of my, copy editing, writing, the things I do to keep the cash flowing, and one little error on a form, and you are screwed, man. And in fact, I found myself being on the phone for hours, not getting through, getting to the wrong people. And still at this juncture, months later, it hasn't been ironed out because, every possible excuse to not get things moving forward. So I don't know. Look, we persevere,
Just as long as you haven't got the coronavirus, you're ahead of the game.
Right. So luckily I'm pretty good about that. A couple of socially distanced garden parties, one in San Francisco, a couple of trysts down here, everybody wearing masks and staying 6 feet apart. Went out for ice cream on Sunday night with my friend Nikki. We went to Fosselman's, which is the oldest ice cream parlor in Los Angeles, and it was fantastic. And it's the holiday weekend, and I'm pretty much by myself the whole time. And then Nikki and I go, well, we're going to meet. We're going to have some ice cream. So we go out, we order up really delicious couple of scoops, chocolate dipped strawberry and espresso. She had a kind of a banana boat, I don't know. And then we sat 6 feet apart from one another, took off our masks, ate our ice cream, avoided other people, and had a lovely conversation for about an hour. And then it was like, okay, see you later. And both of us have been extremely careful. No one wants to come down with this thing. And at the same time, I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute. When I got back into the car, I took off my mask and scratched my nose without using the hand sanitizer first. Oh, I'm screwed. So it's 3 days later, and I'm still, feeling okay. So I don't know what to say about it, but that's the world we're living in right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have what I call the COVID dream. Do you ever have the COVID dream? Where you have a dream that you go out and then you forgot your mask?
No, but that's I don't know. I try to keep the mask sandy.
So
and sanitary.
Yeah. So are the movie theaters opening up out there? I would imagine not, because California's still been hit pretty heavy with the virus.
A new film called The Broken Hearts Gallery is opening this weekend. It's a rom-com about a young woman in Manhattan who keeps little trinkets from the past and can't seem to let go of the past, and she turned it into a kind of an art project. And it's very sweet, and I think it's only opening in theaters. And I saw a list, and it listed a few locations in Southern California, and I'm thinking they must be drive-ins. I didn't look further in because I didn't want to address that yet.
So, but they really haven't opened up the movie theaters out there yet.
I don't think so, no. Only if you have outdoor... they're doing various outdoor situations up in our hometown of San Francisco, where I'll be in October for a few weeks. They're turning Fort Mason into a drive-in theater. They're using the lot and projecting on one of the big walls or erecting a screen. So that's going to be a drive-in. And it's like, I don't know, $42 a car.
Really?
A car. And I don't know what the hell we're looking at. I do know, and I love Halloween and Mardi Gras and New Year's Eve, any excuse to have a party, even though, as you know, I'm not any drinker of any sort. Halloween is canceled in Los Angeles. I know that. No trick-or-treating allowed. You can drive in your car in various neighborhoods and wave at people while you're wearing your costume. I think that's been permitted. It's... what are you going to do? I mean...
so far as the movie business is concerned, they've really gone the route of trying to release these things, but not their big tentpole pictures online. But some of your movies, which probably wouldn't have done very well at the box office anyway, or would have had limited appeal at the box office, are being
Mostly,
released. Yeah. They still have plans to release the James Bond film in November in theaters, but it's a dicey one.
I don't think they really. I don't think they should. Honestly, I mean, I don't want to watch it on my laptop. I don't want to watch a, I don't. I mean, honestly, those are one of the. There's a handful of movies that really, the superhero films and such, fun to watch at home after you've seen them in the immersive circumstance. Your home entertainment unit, you have such a massive screen. You have great sound. I know you do. I remember how you had it on.
Most people do, though, now. They at least have the bare minimum of that. They have at least a 55-inch screen.
Yeah, so maybe
you go down
fine.
to Costco, you want to buy a cheap set for $350. You got yourself 55-inch screen,
Well, okay, so there's that. But I mean, you still have to get access to the stream and such. I know that Bill and Ted, which was meant as a theatrical release originally, and we're going to go direct to video. I understand they did great. I heard the numbers were really good on it. But
now, what have you heard about Mulan? Because Mulan was, to begin with, if you have Disney Plus, which I have, okay, you're paying
right.
what, $5.95 a month, something like that. I can't remember, $6.95 a month for the service.
Right.
And then if you want the movie, well, it's a little add-on now, and that add-on was like $30, $29.95, And to me, that was not the break-even point. I think if they'd gone $19.95, they might have had a better shot. Plus the fact that I finally saw the movie, and it ain't worth $30.
No. 7.5 million in box office, I guess, overseas. 7.5 at this job. I don't know what the numbers really are, and I don't know what Disney Plus has pulled in. I just tried to check and see and didn't come up with anything.
They're probably not going to come out with the figures. They're probably going to keep them close to their vest. I would suspect that they did okay, but they've been advertising like crazy, So by virtue of that, they would do somewhat okay. But then people see the price and they go, well, Disney's going to have it on Disney Plus in December for just your normal, fee. So you can't wait for them. By the way, wait for it because it's not worth it.
Well, you know what? It's solid. It's one of my favorite of their repurposing cartoons to live action. It's got a lot of that martial arts vibe. You've got some top-notch Asian actors that are involved in it. And it's not, it's not offensive, except apparently there's offense because the lead actress stood on the side of the Chinese government in the Hong Kong, what do you call them?
Demonstrations. Yeah.
And that has angered tons of people.
Wow.
The people have also been pissed off that at the very end of the movie, the filmmakers thank a province where apparently people are also horribly oppressed.
Is that the one where they're rounding up all the Muslims
So
or something? And
we want to thank those people for their help in making this film. That apparently is blown up in their face to some extent, and I know
but people who are sitting at home getting Disney Plus really don't know any of this stuff.
No, they're just going to either watch it or not. And
I think what they're going to have is once they watch it and pay that $30, because you don't know whether it's good or bad till you watch it.
Right.
I think they're going to feel it wasn't worth the $30, and it is going to sour them on any future attempts at this same
to do this again. Your discussion with me last week on Culture Blast was price it down to $20, and it's not as big a bite in the butt. And in fact, I would tend to agree, having watched it. I would be hard for me to say, oh yeah, pay $30. If you have a family of 5 and 3 of them are tweens, yeah, okay, fine, watch it.
It's going to be cheaper than taking them to the theater, but I think that if you even took them to the theater and saw that movie, you'd have buyer's remorse. Okay, I think the expense outweighs how good the film is. All right.
Well, yeah, I just thought that they did a good job with it. I didn't think it's not a great movie, and people are there are some purists that are gonna say, where was the wacky dragon and whatever. But I think that they did a good job of changing it up.
Well, we're not really reviewing the film here, but we're talking
No.
we're talking
But
about the
saying,
economics of these new release patterns, which are as a result of the COVID.
I only bring the quality of the film up as you did. You think it's not worth the $30. I agree, particularly if it's, one or two people watching it at home. But if it was a theater thing and people were just paying regular theatrical entry, it was good. I don't like. I just think these.
Well, I'm just wondering if this method of distributing, like you say, Bill and Ted did fine. Well, how much were they charging for Bill and Ted? Maybe it was a lot cheaper than $30.
I'm sure it was like the 1995.
It might have even been $14.95. I've seen.
Well, in any event, I heard they did well. I don't have the figures. I don't know absolutely.
Well, I heard that Trolls World Tour made a fortune. They said they made more money putting it online than they would have made if it had gone direct to the theaters.
That's absolutely true. And someone just said, hey, I like Trolls World Tour better than the first movie. Like you could actually distinguish between two shitty movies.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go see Trolls 2 because, quite frankly, there were so many unanswered questions in Trolls 1
Here's my biggest question about Trolls 2. Does it have as good a song as Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake off the first one? Because that's the only good thing.
And you had to sit through it, right?
Yeah, sure. I did have to sit through it. And, I could stop the feeling by getting up and walking out, but I couldn't because I was being honorable and watching the movie for review. And Justin, I know you're not watching, but... great track.
One last thing before we go here is that Siskel and Ebert were once asked, did they ever walk out on a film? Because, you got to go to these things, you got to review them, and you got to sit through them, and a lot of times you get a terrible one. Did you ever get up and leave? And they said they were watching one film, they both got up, looked at each other, and went, life's too short. And they left the theater. And the film was Mediterraneo, which went on to win the Academy Award for Best Foreign Picture.
Wow. Now, I watched that entire thing, and I thought it was good, but it's a slog, man, at first.
Yeah.
Look, everybody's got different approaches to this stuff. And honestly, I have walked out on one or two movies, but I couldn't. I think.
Well, when people think that somebody's trying to call me, no, you're not going. It says unknown.
Oh right? Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's probably SAG-AFTRA telling you they're revoking your insurance entirely because of your bad attitude.
Well, what I've already suggested to the people who are against this is that we get one of those big inflatable rats. The scab rats that they put out in front of places they're on strike against, and put one outside the Burbank offices of SAG-AFTRA. Anyway, listen, we've run out of time here, but I want to do this some more because there's a lot to cover just in the general business of entertainment and how it's being impacted by this thing. And it doesn't look like it's getting better anytime soon.
No, I don't think so. My meeting is going to be masked, and we're going to be careful. And I'm really not sure about the shooting pattern. I don't know what their intent is going to be with this thing, and we'll see.
Well, wear your mask, wear dark glasses, and you can tell them you're 18 years old, and they'll buy your idea.
No, they're already on board with me, you bonehead. And again, for animation, because they don't care how old you are, as long as you're good.
Yeah, well, keep saying that. Anyway, hey, listen, good talking to you again. These are very good little things we do here, and I get nice reaction to them, too. So.
Well, that's good to know. And regarding your negativity, keep on being the curmudgeon you are.
I certainly will. It's my stock and trade. Talk to you later. Bye.
Cheers.
Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, okay. Thank you very much, Michael Snyder. I like doing those little things with Michael. We might do more of them because, as long as there are any movies to really talk about, that's pretty good. I forgot to do? I forgot to go get my soda. I forgot. I need my... Well, what I'll do is once I get a bunch of people here. I'll maybe run out and go get my Snapple. But anyway, have we got some people ready to go? Yeah, we got some coming in. Here's Fred Sox. He called the other day. Jim Sullivan. I don't know who Jim Sullivan is, but we will soon find out.
Charm City Junction. Music from Eck Robertson.
Okay.
Arkansas born, but made his name in Texas.
Here, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Remove. Yes, Jim Sullivan. Okay, Jim. Goodbye.
Oh, no, don't go. No.
What?
No, I'm here.
No, you're there, but Jim Sullivan, I'm getting rid of him.
No. I am Jim Sullivan.
You are Jim Sullivan. Well, how
Yes,
come
formerly known as Fred Sox.
Yeah, but then why is Jim Sullivan coming up down here below me?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's really strange. People can see that. Look at that. Look, I got that twice. Okay, I'm going to go remove. And come on, remove this Jim Sullivan. And it's not removing. Oh, that's terrible. Could you do me a favor, Fred? Hang up and then call back? Because apparently you signed in as Jim Sullivan as well. And I've got too many people. I can't get rid of the Jim Sullivan here. So just hang up and call back, okay?
Absolutely. All right.
Okay, bye-bye. Let me see here. Jim Sullivan. Here we go. More chat. Remove. Okay, I'm going to try and remove him. Okay, there we go. Come on, go away. Oh, boy. I don't know what the problem is. Hold on a second. Let me get the other people in here. And let's see. We got some people coming in. We got Brian Neary, and we got Vernon Nunn. And I wish I'd get rid of Jim Sullivan, for crying out loud. I can't get rid of Jim Sullivan.
I don't like a bad pen.
Fred, would you hang up, please?
Please. Yeah.
Yes, hang up, and then call back, okay? Because if you're Jim Sullivan as well, maybe you're the one that's keeping this up here, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Are you going to get rid of yourself? Is this going to take all night? Here, I'll get rid of you. Okay. Remove. Okay. Do you want to remove Fred Sox? There we go. Now he doesn't go away either. Why don't these go away? Jeez Almighty, I don't get it. Listen, Fred, please hang up. Disconnect yourself. Turn off Zoom. Oh boy. Let me see here. Put him waiting room. That's what I'll do with him. Okay. And let me see here. I want everybody.
I want to make Charlie smile tonight.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Football season. Charlie, where's your cowboy gear? Come on, man.
That was last
now
night.
hold on a second. Now I've got.
Josh has got his going every night.
Yeah, now I got to figure out how to get myself back here. No, I don't. Oh, here we go. There we go. Okay. Well, I got rid of Fred Sox. Jeez Almighty. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Good.
Hey.
What a pleasant way to start the show. How are you all doing this evening? Hello, Vernon. Good to see you tonight.
Good to be here.
Yeah. Anyway, let me see here. Okay, we're all here. And how is everything going in the world today? Did I miss anything?
Oh.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Giuliani was on Chris's show for a while tonight. It's pretty interesting.
On whose show? Chris Cuomo's?
Cuomo. Yeah,
really?
It looked like he was just going to do like a quickie with him with about the 9/11 stuff, and then he got into one or two questions, and then it just ended up like 35 or 40 minutes. So they started just being a lot of arguing.
Oh, okay. All right. So, but that's it, huh? That's all the big news.
Yeah.
Nothing more. Hello, Fred. How are you? Fred did our show on Monday, right, Fred?
Yes.
And Fred has an interesting voice.
Why is that?
Well, you had a very interesting. I always found your voice very interesting the other day, or maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
No, that was somebody else. Yeah, but
That was probably Jim Sullivan. I don't know who that guy was.
Oh, okay. But anyway, hello, Fred. Welcome to the show. I'm glad we got it sorted out. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
me too. Thanks, Howard.
You signed in as Jim Sullivan. You signed in as yourself, and I couldn't get Jim Sullivan removed from the picture here. So
Yeah, I figured it out now. It was that I was trying to get my real name on there so you wouldn't have to
oh well.
go through that. But I guess I screwed it all up.
Yeah, well, Fred Sox. It sounds like baseball team, of course. Are you a Red Sox fan by any chance?
No, a Yankee fan.
Oh, okay. So Fred Sox makes no sense at all then, right?
I'm very eclectic.
I see. You're very eclectic.
Yeah.
Anyway, our lines are open, and what we really need on this panel now is a good old-fashioned right winger as well, to mix it up here. You're not right wing, are you, Fred?
No, sir.
No. So
Quite the opposite.
Quite the opposite, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we lost somebody who was the right winger here. Well, he wasn't really a right winger, was he, Robert? No. He was a trumpet. A trumpet. Hey, I didn't think of that one. There's a new one for you. Donald Trump, if he had like a singing group, he could call them the Trumpettes. Anyway. But I do miss, what I do miss is a real decent right winger on this program. So if you're out there, all you got to do is go over to gabnet.net, and on the right-hand side of the page is a little place where it says Zoom. You can Zoom. Click here to Zoom, and you just click on that, and it'll automatically put you in here. And you can.
I could play a right winger if you like.
Well,
it's very simple.
Invite Patrick on Facebook.
Well, Patrick's where is Patrick? He should be. He calls at least once a week. We haven't heard from him this week.
I think all Republicans are hiding
You think so?
from our.
After the last 2 weeks, I can see why.
Well, it has not been a good 2 weeks for the. Here's the problem. I feel sorry for right-wingers. I feel sorry for conservatives because they're being represented, at least ostensibly, by this moron that's in the White House. And quite frankly, if I were a true conservative, I would not like him representing my frame of thought. Right, Josh?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, to have him representing those people and then doing the idiotic, moronic things that he does. I mean, this guy's the only guy I know who can deny stuff that they actually have a recording of him saying. How do you do that? Yes, yes, Vernon.
I work with a fellow at Home Depot who's to the right of Attila the Hun.
Okay,
and I talked to him today about this Atlantic magazine
article. By the way,
article.
I checked into it, and Attila the Hun, in spite of all the things people have been saying for years, was a left winger. So anyway, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, this guy, I just tried to strike up a conversation with him, knowing his leanings, and I said, "Well, what do you think about that Atlantic magazine article where Trump called the military, people who died in the military and the wars and everything, losers and suckers?" He says that's all fake news. I said, "What do you mean?" I said, it was in this article. Yeah, but it's not fact. It was not corroborated. And I'm going, what? They do not print something like that unless it's corroborated by more than one person.
Yeah. So
I just walked away after that. I mean, he obviously wasn't going to budge on. It's just like the last conversation I had like that with him was about the Second Amendment. And he wants to quote the thing about the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. And I said, yeah, but what happens right before that phrase? I said, in order to maintain a well-regulated militia. And he says, it doesn't say that. I said, yes, it does. Get your Second Amendment out and read it, buddy.
Yeah. I saw a guy on television just talking about denial, They had some guy they were interviewing in a crowd or whatever, and they said, "Why aren't you wearing a mask?" And he said, "Because the whole coronavirus thing is a hoax to ruin our country." And he said,
All those fake bodies, right?
He said, "Yeah, but didn't you hear the president say to on a recording that he felt that it was a dangerous situation and blah 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 blah?" And the guy went, "Well, then he's wrong." I mean, these people are just when it comes to this, I don't know why it becomes a political issue. It makes no sense that it's a political issue.
The commonly
You wonder why
held
so many,
trope.
so many
I'm
people
sorry.
died in Italy and other various places. That's not the United States. They died in Europe also. So
Yes,
how does he make logic out of that? I don't know.
have no idea. But, this was some moron they picked off the street. But what were you saying, Robert, about...
I was about to say the commonly held trope among Republicans is that Democrats couldn't organize a one-car funeral. Well, all these years I've been hearing that, but now suddenly we organized a worldwide pandemic and had 192,000 fake Americans. I guess they're cardboard cutouts.
Yeah. The other thing that I don't get, and it's a real problem. I mean, you've got a president here who takes statistics and gets them all wrong. He said, for instance, we don't have the worst death rate in the world. Okay.
Yes, we do.
Well, he's going by some figuring it out in a weird way, that like per 1,000 people, maybe we haven't had as bad a death rate or whatever. But all I know is that yesterday in the United States, I heard the figure, something like over 1,100 people died of COVID in this country yesterday. In
one day.
Yeah. In Spain, where they're having a resurgence, 14. Okay.
Not backwards.
Yep. There we go. France yesterday, 35. Italy, 14.
Yeah,
Spain, 34. The United States, 1,206. Now, I don't care.
That's adjusted per population.
Oh,
if Spain, sorry, it's a lot of focus, but if Spain and Italy had as much population as we had, they juiced up the numbers to match that.
That's great. Let me look at those numbers a second. So, in other words, France's numbers would be 171 if they were the size of the United States in population, right?
Yes.
And what's the next one? Moving
Italy,
closer.
76.
Yeah.
And then
And then 237. So that's
237 for Spain. Yeah, that's after he said that Italy and everybody else is spiking right now, and he's been talking to people at Spain that are having a big problem right now. That's what he said.
So if adjusted for population, that's okay, all right, yeah.
But he said he said like Italy was ramped up 400% or Spain or something.
Yeah.
But we started with like 2.
Yeah. And you got to remember, these were countries that were, at least at one point, these countries were way in advance of us of really having a bad situation. And they bent the curve. And now these countries have a death rate far lower than ours, even if you adjust for size of population. And yet he goes on and says, oh, no, we have less deaths than they do in Europe. What? You could take all those European countries, add them together, okay, for deaths yesterday, and they don't even begin to equal how many people died in the United States yesterday.
But all the lies that he just keeps saying are blatant lies, especially like this last week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Biden and those guys just have to keep hammering that he's saying, he keeps saying they're going to take the guns away and all these other things.
Yeah.
Just got to keep hammering that. No, this is our platform. This is what we're standing for, not what he's telling you guys. This is coming from our mouth.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. But yet there are people that just think that Trump our president wouldn't lie. He wouldn't lie.
Really?
No. Yes, Jeff.
My mother always would say, if you lie, you're going to get pimples on your tongue.
Ooh. Sounds gross.
It sounds pretty bad when you're like
Yeah,
10 years
geez.
old.
And what if you spell liar wrong?
Yeah, but I mean,
Trump can't even spell liar. he knows the word, but he can't spell it.
Anybody have pimples on their tongue at all?
No.
I don't understand it. Doesn't make sense to me. But
Did anybody see the poster with Trump for having been nominated for the Nobel Prize, and they spelled Nobel Noble?
Oh yeah.
wait a minute. What was this? This was a sign.
He got nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, and so the Republicans
wait a minute,
apparently made a poster.
let's to begin with. Let's just tell people.
Oh, sure.
You, Robert, could be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Absolutely.
I could be
and
nominated.
I don't see why I haven't been.
In other words, if you want to nominate
Several
somebody,
times.
That's right.
Several times.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where you write, but you write.
I would nominate you.
Oh,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, if one of you could get a hold of the Nobel, if you have nothing to do, you get a hold of the Nobel Peace Prize people, and nominate me. Let's see what happens.
There you go.
I bet I'd be more in contention for it than Trump is.
You might spell it right.
For the Nobel Peace Prize. The Nobel Peace Prize.
Maybe it's a different one. Maybe it is. He is worthy of that one.
Yeah, they should give him that one.
Yeah.
I wonder how many Trumpers know what started the Nobel Prizes.
Well, let's see if our group here knows. Anybody know who was it Albert or Alfred Nobel was?
Yeah, but he was the inventor of
what was
guns.
No,
right?
No,
Dynamite.
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 Yep.
Dynamite. Yeah.
I guess that's what
hardly a requisite for a peace prize, I would say.
Well, I think that in his case, it's a perfect case of guilt coming back to haunt you. I mean,
well, they have all those other prizes too. They have the prize for physics and for literature.
But you know something? You've got to give Nobel credit. I mean, before dynamite, how did we manage to build a lot of things? I mean, dynamite's a very constructive piece of equipment if you use it correctly, or you can blow people to itty bitty bits.
And it made a living for Jimmy Walker.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll tell you what is that many times we invent things and they get misused. Okay, and that's a good example of the misuse of something because the people changed it into bombs and things like that. In fact, am I right or wrong? But isn't the thing that actually ignites a nuclear device, an atom bomb, isn't that dynamite?
Don't know.
I think so. Yeah, the initial explosion.
Some other explosion actually forces the uranium together.
Yeah, and I think that's dynamite they use. But I may be wrong. I don't know.
Actually, it's the hydrogen bomb that a nuclear bomb ignites the hydrogen bomb.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that's what needs the pressure. You don't need pressure. All you got to do is bring a certain amount of fissionable material together, and it'll explode all by itself.
We seem to have gotten off the track of using hydrogen bombs. Do you ever hear about hydrogen bombs being exploded any longer?
That's against the law now. We have a
non-proliferation treaty.
So you can't explode them anymore. Nobody can.
Yeah, but weren't all the bombs after it? I mean, the hydrogen, they did them out in the Pacific a few times, but then they did a bunch of atom bombs after that. They just, the nuclear devices were atomic bombs. Did you ever see a movie called Trinity? The A-bomb movie? If you can ever watch it, it's narrated by William Shatner, and it is an hour and a half of when they did nuclear explosions. They filmed them. Every one of them was filmed, so they would be able to look at them and see what they did and how they did it. So they took all these films and end to end, just one right after the other, and each one under it has the amount of power that it has, and they keep increasing and increasing. It's an hour and a half of explosions. Fascinating. Just fascinating.
Trinity was the name Oppenheimer gave the bomb, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he gave the test.
Oh, I see.
Trinity was the name of the test.
As in Holy Trinity.
Yeah. Now, what were the two names of the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Fat Boy or something?
Mm-hmm.
Fat Boy was one of them.
Fat Boy and Little Man.
And what was the name of the plane?
Enola Gay.
Enola Gay.
Enola Gay, yeah.
That was for the first one. I think it was a different plane for the
the second one. And I can't remember which one we dropped first. I think Fat Boy.
Enola Gay, yeah.
Yeah. Fat Boy was the first one, and then and they both looked different too. They were two different looking devices.
One was plutonium and the other was first one was uranium and the second one was plutonium.
Oh really? Okay. So which one did the most damage?
I would think plutonium.
Huh?
Well, the first one killed more people. The Hiroshima killed more people.
Could it be because where we dropped it was
it's more densely populated?
More densely populated?
I think that was a bigger city. I think you're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Japan called him "oh shit" and not again.
Or hey, what's that? I think that was what one guy called it.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
But none of that could have ever happened if we hadn't taken the Marshall Islands, because that's where those planes were launched from.
I can't remember. Yeah. I think it was on Family Guy that they did a bit about. It said Hiroshima, 1945, and there's a Japanese guy walking down the street, and then he looks up at the sky and he goes, "Oh my God!" and this giant cougar falls on him. Okay, it was just. I thought it was funny. Okay. But the thing about the atom bomb, about the nuclear devices, is we're the only country that's ever dropped a nuclear device on a human population. Oh. And we did that how many years ago? How many years ago was that?
1945.
1945. So that's how many years?
75.
75 years.
75 years. And in 75 years, we have never dropped another bomb. Now, that says something for the human race, that we looked at the destruction that those two devices did, and in spite of saber rattling for 75 years, we've never exploded one on a human population.
Of course, Trump's in power now.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Jeff.
Well, you had a lot of these missiles and bombs and all of this stuff in airplanes going all over the world as protection.
Yeah, but yet we never used them.
We didn't use them, but we had them.
You know what happens, though? We have a stockpile of not only nuclear devices, but of bombs. Mm-hmm. And they, after a certain amount of years, if you don't use them, they go bad. Okay?
Yep, they disappear.
So what do you do to use some of those bombs? What you do is you have a sale. Well, it's almost like a sale. It's called like what they did in Iraq, okay? Which was you get all the countries of the world to partner with you to drop these bombs on a country, and they are literally paying for the bombs that are now depleted, and you got to use them. There's a sell-by date because you can't start building up a more modern arsenal till you get rid of those. So every now and then you got to have a little small war somewhere where you unload all these devices. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flea market would work.
A flea market, yeah.
Mother of all bombs.
Yeah, we're amazing. We are just amazing. So how's everything where you are? I'll tell you, I talked to Ronnie Bennett tonight, and she's up there in Oregon, Portland, mm-hmm. and she is planned. She's getting ready. She's packed. And ready to get out of the house because
they're saying 10% of the state is being asked to evacuate.
Well, she says it's coming close for her part of the state because there are two fires that are raging towards each other, and when they meet, they cause a windstorm, and only inflame it greater. And she said, if that happens, we're going to have to move out of here. and just get out of the way in case it comes this way. And, you know, it's bad enough she's dying of cancer, okay? It's bad enough she's got that going, and she's got, what do you call it? Not emphysema, but the other thing.
COPD.
COPD. She can't even go out to get her mail because the smoke is so horrible out there that she's been coughing all day. She's had to go full time on an oxygen mask.
She'd almost need a Scott Air Pack.
Yeah. So, like, where you are, how is it, Brian? Is it better?
It tricks you. It seems like it's better, but it's not. The air quality, they still say unhealthy air quality. They have that one. The next level down is unhealthy for sensitive people, but this is the highest we've seen it. So they said today is the worst, even though the other day was looking orange. They are hoping like Tuesday there's some air that's going to push everything more east, so it'll clean out. It's like a big valley here too. So yeah, it's just really bad outside. So we can't go outside. Like we went out like 3 weeks in a row on a Saturday. We'd go to lunch. So, but we'd social distance and certain areas outside we can eat. And then the fire started hitting, the smoke started hitting, and the high temperatures. At least the temperatures have come down. But then you can't open your window because the smoke. So you got to keep everything closed up and put the AC on still. So, but it's really bad outside.
Yeah. So you're not letting the kids out? No.
No. You usually have at least an hour out of playtime, and not now.
Just when it was.
What could be frightening is if the air quality gets so bad, the air gets so acidic and so much soot that it corrodes your air conditioner outside.
Oh yeah.
Well, they say a lot of people.
You have all the soots on all the cars and everywhere. You see in the morning, my car, when I get to it, the lights come on automatically because it senses I'm there, and you could see it coming down.
They say that
not that bad today, but worse the other days.
California is a state with a lot of people with swimming pools.
Yeah.
And I hear that what happens is the ash comes down, hits the water, and then sinks to the bottom of the pool. So they're going to have to empty their pools out and get all that cleaned out before they can ever swim in their pool again.
Yeah.
It's getting terrible.
No problem.
Fred, where do you live, Fred? I forget now.
I live in North Carolina now.
North Carolina. Okay. So
yeah, but I originally come from.
You're not having any fires down there or anything like that. All you have is sheer stupidity, right?
Well, I guess so. So I originally come from New York. I think I told you that already.
Yeah. That's got to be a real culture shock for you, though.
No, things are becoming very homogenized, especially on the East Coast.
Really?
There's really no places to hide anymore.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what I've done that we've wasted our time completely. We watched all 75 episodes, finish it, of The Americans. Talk about a binge watch. Huh?
I have too.
Yeah.
I love that show.
Well, I didn't love it, but I got to like it more and more as it went on. Okay, and I felt the last 3 seasons were better than the first 3. But there were a few things in it. Did you get this, Charlie? Do you remember this son that he supposedly had that was living in Russia?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And they had that whole story where the guy is leaving Russia, going to come to the United States to find his father. Whatever happened to that story? It just disappeared.
Yeah.
It's like I think they gave up on it. They said, this is not a good plot point. Let's just not continue it. Which is, you really don't notice unless you're binge watching it.
Yeah.
And then you're saying, wait, what happened to him? He's gone. No, it was an interesting series. I mean, it was fun that you were rooting for people who were trying to destroy America. But,
Well, one of the things I liked about it is it brought back my years of my Russian studies. And it was fun to try and pick up some of that Russian.
Well, they said that in things that I saw that the show was based on real things that went on in this country, that there were Russian families, spy families, just like this, working in the United States in that period of time. And they eventually, I think it was in 2004, arrested about 12 families and deported them back to Russia because they were spies. And one of them was that woman. Remember that gorgeous woman they found here? And they sent her back to Russia?
The redhead, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of them. Boy,
Yep.
she was hot. She's a big TV personality now in Moscow.
I believe it.
Yeah.
One thing about that show, my wife was always asking the questions, when do these people sleep?
Well, I said that too.
That's right, because they all night they were out doing stuff.
And then during the day they're running the travel agency. So when do they sleep? You know. I mean, the show has a lot of holes in it. You know, I mean, you're supposed to really like the woman in the end. You know, the wife of the husband and wife. But she goes around killing. She must have killed 40 people on that show in 6 years. You know,
You do what you got to do.
You do what you got to do. Well, I saw an interview with I went online. You go to YouTube and watched some interviews with a spy, a Russian spy, who got caught. And they asked him, you know, what do you think about the Americans? And he said a lot of it's very authentic.
Yeah.
He said, you know, it really, really did kind of go on that way. He said, but, you know, he said, we didn't go around killing people. He said, that really wasn't part of what we did. You know, he said, we were out to get secrets and, you know, do certain things. And sometimes, he said, sometimes you weren't asked for years to do anything. You know, but you just, you know, but
the hot Russian spy who was deported was Anna Chapman.
Anna Chapman.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go online and look at a picture of her, she was.
Oh yeah.
She was bonerific. Okay.
Yeah.
You know.
I just finished watching this series about the construction of the railroad that you know, connected the east to the west.
Really? What was
Hell on Wheels? That was it.
Hell on Wheels. Yeah, I remember when that show came out.
That was quite interesting, actually, because you were speaking about dynamite before. That was a real constructive use of dynamite to get through those mountain ranges and make the tunnels.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting series, though. I think it was on for about 5 years. So there's quite a number of.
Yeah, I know. I watched it. I watched 1 or 2 episodes. I just couldn't get into it. I wasn't getting into the.
It's slow at first.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the trouble with the entry on any of these shows. Is
you
how
lose
slow
interest
they
and
are.
you don't watch the rest. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Americans gets better and better and better. Okay, as it goes on. Would you agree with that, Charlie?
Yeah, but that's the philosophy.
Yeah.
You know, of making these shows is to start out slow and build and build and build.
There's a problem.
Crescendo,
there was a problem with the Americans that I saw, and any of you people binge watch at all shows?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. If you binge watch, it's a different experience than watching week to week. In other words, if you watch week to week, you're going, hey, it's Tuesday night. Let's go watch the Americans. Let's see what happens next week. Boy, and so you have that week to kind of absorb it and then go to the next one. Here, you're watching one right after the other, and they don't work as a binge because they weren't created to be binged. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so,
they were created as a weekly show.
So if they're going to have, for instance, flaws, you're going to see those flaws much more glaringly if you just watched episode 1 and now you're watching episode 2, and then right after that, the same day, you're watching episode 3 and 4, and then you're kind of comparing them to each other immediately, rather than having a week for your mind to dissipate and kind of forget what went on, and then to go. So you won't say like, "What happened to his son?"
Yeah, because. You don't remember because it's been 6 days or whatever since.
But Marjorie loves the idea of binge watching, you know. So, gee, people are dropping out in droves tonight. What is this? I don't know. Go away.
The Atlantic magazine has called for the end of the Nobel Peace Prize.
What? Who?
The Atlantic
said what?
They said that they should discontinue and not have the Nobel Peace Prize. They have a bad track record, and they claim that now with Trump being nominated, it's just should be just ended.
But I mean, he's just been nominated. Any dunce, you could be nominated, Bree.
Yeah,
I nominate Bree.
Huh?
Is there a second?
Right after Dunce, I noticed. Jesus.
I mean, it's just not possible. Okay, so the fact that he's being nominated for a Peace Prize doesn't diminish the Peace Prize. What it does is it just says it's open to anybody, and people give suggestions. Basically, they're not nominations, as much as I'm putting his name in for the Nobel Peace Prize. But why does it not have any relevance? I mean, Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize, and to this day I can't figure out why.
Yeah, that was a political statement.
They do say that in the article, that they say they primarily give it based on the seeds that are planted, but they said it should be based on the fruits, not on the seeds, of peace. And in a way, and they said that Obama got it just because he was sort of generally fostering good relations among people.
But he got it before he even became president. He hadn't done anything.
Yeah, that was before he became president. Yeah.
I think he was running for president when that happened, though.
Yeah, but I could never figure out why he got it. I mean, not that I don't think that maybe after he was president he shouldn't have gotten it or whatever, but I just couldn't figure out at the time why he was getting it. I understand that little girl who got it, last year, the year before last, I can't remember her name now. Yeah. Basically says, why can't we all get along? And she was, I could see why she got nominated for it. Mother Teresa, people like that. One year it was, who was it? Was it Gorbachev and who? Carter, maybe? I'm trying to remember. Is
Gorbachev still around? I think he might be.
I think he's still around. Yeah.
Henry Kissinger's still around.
Yes. Yeah.
Now you're thinking of Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg. Yeah.
Or Mala.
Yeah, and bright little lady. And I think a good example of why you should be doing this sort of thing. What happened to my? I don't understand. I don't have. Oh, there we are. Okay.
Somebody steal your audience?
No, somehow I lost my feed. Who knows why?
Speaking of peace,
what?
Speaking of peace, this was pretty good today.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's some sanity back into making sure. I don't think Trump would have done that. Trump would have walked the other way. But
yeah.
So at least know that 9/11 is bigger than the moment, but that there's like.
Well, for a moment, let's
can see Trump doing that.
Let's talk about 9/11, because today there was a lot of feelings. Everybody of course goes, "Oh, it's 9/11," and then we put salt in the wound some more, but everybody was saying, it's kind of it's kind of weird to have it happening this year because we have yet another tragedy that has killed even more people than died in 9/11.
By multiples. Multiples.
Oh, we lost 3,000.
Different 9/11s.
What?
I think it equals like 63 or 64 9/11s.
Yeah. So, I mean, but there was that comparison being made and saying that in this time it's kind of weird, that we are beset by this. But yet, every year we keep doing this thing, and while 9/11 is certainly worthy of remembrance, here in New York it's become like a national holiday. I mean, I'm saying that, okay, every year for 5 years after 9/11, you do something. Then at the 10th year anniversary, you do some more. Maybe at the 15th, maybe at the 20th.
Kind of like a class reunion.
Yeah, but every year, and I said to Marjorie tonight, and she didn't understand what I was trying to say, but I said, I would hate to be a family who lost somebody on 9/11 and now I'm being just forced to remember it. To relive every minute of it.
Yeah.
This year they got very mad because they rang the bell for everybody that died, and then they would name the name. Somebody would say the name. What they did was they just rang the bell. They didn't name the names, and everybody was so mad. Across town, they had another group of people who were reading the names. And I said to Marjorie, I said, if I were one of those families, it kind of might get to me after a while. I don't want to remember every year the tragedy that I went through. I don't want that wound reopened. Okay? Am I wrong about this?
Well, in the news today, I think that's the sad part about it is it was revealed today in a newspaper article, I forget what newspaper, that the Trump administration has been skimming some of the money that was set aside by Congress to take care of the first responders' health needs. They've been not sending it.
Oh man!
How have they been skimming it? Where's it been going?
They've been withholding about $4 million.
Okay, but that's not skimming. That's just
a certain percentage of the money has not been sent.
Oh, okay, but that's not skimming. In other words, skimming would be if you took that money and applied it to like buying, wax lips.
Well, he's probably building a wall with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You okay out there?
Well, if that's the case, then it is wrong. But anyway, back out to Kuala Lumpur now for our latest Servit report.
Well, wildlife came and got him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's on his way to...
Tell the people what happened the other day. You trapped what is it? It's called a Servit. It's a really weird-looking animal.
Civet. Yeah, they call it a cat, although it's not really a cat. It's more like... It's kind of a cross between several animals. You could think of it as a really skinny, long raccoon.
Okay.
It's kind of like that, and now we've had 4 of them total. The reason why they get in the attic, and there was a family, I guess, up there. The 2 small baby civets were really loud, so we put a trap up there, and everybody said, "Well, you're never going to catch anything." We actually caught 2. We caught 2 baby civets. And then we thought that would be it, but about a week later, we heard them up there again. We put up another trap. A couple days later, we caught another one. And then goes a week and a half. Then we hear another one, put it up there, and we caught a 4th. So, at this point, though, unless they make noise in the attic, I'm not putting the trap up anymore. If it's a constant noise, if they come and go, I'm not so worried about it, but if they stay there, try to make a home, and are talking all the time, then we're going to try to get rid of them. Now, these are the civets that they feed. They call it kopi luwak. It's mainly popular in Indonesia. If you feed them coffee beans, they eat it. It goes through their system, and once it comes out, apparently it makes the coffee bean exquisite, and it's very expensive. And some people say that they mistreat the civet cats.
Okay, we're getting a little more information than we really wanted. I just want to know how you were handling this and not the whole history of the cat.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the same
there
animal.
There are people who do keep the civet cats as pets here. There are.
Really?
And they have blogs online.
Okay. Yeah,
I've heard about the coffee pot part of it before, but I think it came from like Djibouti or something like that, where they actually have these animals.
People pick these coffee beans out of their ass. Are you saying?
Yes,
they are African and Southeast Asian. There are 2, kinds.
And you wonder why I don't drink coffee.
Yeah, I don't drink coffee either.
Are you full of shit?
I wish I had some Djibouti to put. I mean, not Djibouti. Civet. There's civet. Is it civet?
Yeah.
I didn't know those animals were here in the United States.
Wow. How do you spell civet?
Civet.
Civet.
E-T.
Yeah. Okay.
Civet.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's good. Anyway, also today there was an interview. Janine Pirro interviewed Trump. Did you see this thing?
Yeah.
Over at Fox? and said, what are you going to do with the election night? He says, well, if anybody's demonstrating, I'm going to go out and bring the troops out to quell them.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
How close are we coming to a banana republic around here?
Kool-Aid.
You know.
Did anybody watch the Peter Strzok interview last night?
No.
Yeah.
No. What did he have to say?
Yeah, he was on Rachel Maddow's show promoting his book, and one of the things that I found interesting is that not only did he badmouth Trump, but he badmouthed Hillary and Bernie during that same period.
Yeah, he's nonpartisan.
Oh, so he was, in other words, didn't just write stuff about Trump.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was the head of the counterintelligence unit in the FBI, and he's the one who suggested, he led a team that started investigating all this stuff that they were finding out about the Trump campaign talking to the Russians. And then when the Mueller was appointed as a special counsel, they recommended that the regular FBI continue with the counterintelligence investigation, but nobody picked it up and ran with it. And of course, he got fired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but he did make, I think, a big mistake by putting that in what do you call it?
The email.
Email. Yeah.
Well, his text messages with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah. The text message.
I think that you just don't do that. Okay. You know,
No kidding.
Huh? Yeah. I mean, that was a stupid mistake. How did Rachel Maddow handle that with him?
They didn't talk about it. They only talked about the book and the different parts of the counterintelligence investigation. And of course, there's some things he couldn't talk about because they're still classified.
Yeah, but
and he said some of that may still be going on.
Did she
in the
bring up
FBI.
this whole thing about him writing these texts with his girlfriend? No?
No.
How could she do an interview with him and not ask about that?
Because it was about the book, and it's nothing like that in the book.
Well,
Nothing
so
of that is in the
even
book.
there's nothing in, so there's nothing about it in the book. It is something that we do know about, or that has been an issue, and she should have asked the question to have him reply to it. I mean, he came to the studio to push his book, but while he's there, you can ask him a whole lot of other stuff, you know.
Yeah, I will say this about Rachel Maddow. She's a pretty decent interviewer, but I actually thought Stephen Colbert did a better interview of Mary Trump than did Rachel Maddow.
Well, I don't think Rachel Maddow's that good.
By the way,
I never watched her.
Huh?
Strzok was on the Daily Show, and Trevor Noah did ask him about the text messages.
And what did he say?
He said that's his one great regret, that he did that. If he had anything to do over again, he would not send out those text messages.
So you see, there's the reason they asked the question, so you can get just exactly that answer, you know.
But here again, we get caught up in the purity test.
Yep.
You know, we get caught up in the purity test of verifying whether or not Peter Strzok said something inappropriate. Oops. In the meantime, the information that he was gathering was of large import, and it gets kind of caught in the web of that he and his girlfriend were making nasty comments. Purity tests kill movements of all kinds.
Well, I will say he was impressive when he was talking about what he was doing in the counterintelligence investigation and how they handled it, the procedures, and how he led the team and all that kind of stuff. He was quite professional and quite impressive.
Well, you see, I think that I'm sorry I missed the interview, because I would have loved to have heard it, because what he was doing is interesting. You know, there's been, because of what went on with Trump not getting impeached. Okay.
Oh, he got impeached.
Well, or getting thrown out of office.
You can impeach someone twice.
Okay,
he just wasn't removed.
Being found guilty of that malfeasance. The problem with that is that what he was guilty of is that probably he did collude with the Russians.
Oh, yeah.
Just because he managed to have a bunch of Republican toadies who wouldn't vote to find him guilty, there was a lot of proof there that he did this, and that he
you can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is.
You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is.
You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is. You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is. You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is. You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is. You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is. You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is. You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is. You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is. You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is. You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is. You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is. You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is. You can probably guess what the title of Pete Strzok's book is. You can probably guess what compromised.
Compromised.
And that was the whole theme of his book, is that Trump is somehow, we don't know how, but Trump is compromised.
You know why?
He's absolutely convinced that the Russians have something on Trump.
Yeah. And what do you think they got on him?
Money.
I think it's the P tape.
I think it's worse than that. I think it's decades of money laundering for the oligarchs.
That's why he's fighting so hard not to let his tax returns get released to the public.
Yeah,
that stuff goes way back to when he was in New York, and nobody would give him a loan to build new buildings anymore because they saw how much money he was losing, and he had nowhere else to go to borrow money except Russia.
Well, the other thing is that he supposedly was a notorious deadbeat. I mean, if they tried to start collecting, he would just say, "Don't write the check."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I'm too big to fail or whatever.
But then they because they had him by the short hairs, I guess. They made him launder money through like Deutsche Bank, and that's where all of that stuff comes from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've got something on him, you know, because I mean, he just is too kind to Putin. Putin can commit murder, and he will excuse it.
He has,
which he has.
Yeah.
This other guy, the latest guy, was poisoned, they say. But
right, yeah.
But you know what they did with that poison? Very strange thing. That poison has a life of about, I don't know, 5 days or something like that, and then it's out of your system. And so it's very hard to prove that poison was used to hurt him. But for some reason, it did last in his system longer than they thought it was going to. That's why they let him leave Russia. They made him stay in Russia for like 3 or 4 days before they would send him to Germany to get medical help. Because they
mixed it in with that new vaccine they got. That's what kept it around.
Maybe that is the new vaccine. You know, I mean,
he was the guinea pig, first test.
Well,
I hear they're making the new vaccine from those coffee beans that those civics have eaten.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing is, Woodward.
That's the Starbucks vaccine.
The thing I couldn't get about Woodward is, and this was a major thing for me, is why Trump even sat for that. Went for those interviews. And he didn't go back. He
thought he could schmooze him. He thought he could schmooze Woodward.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
he said so.
So think about what he talked about. Remember that meeting he had with the Russians privately? He likes to impress people, by saying stuff like that. You could hear in his voice when he was on those interviews. Just think everything he told Russia.
Yeah. But I mean,
he knows for posterity. Everybody sits down with Woodward. That's kind of like going to the prom. So, it's and he doesn't really care. And let's face it, Woodward is just one voice in a sea of voices now. It's almost cliche. Oh, it's in a Woodward book. I mean, Woodward is non-ethical, extremely unethical, in my opinion. Because he had that information and he didn't.
No, I disagree with you on that.
I disagree too.
I disagree with you on that. To begin with, he wasn't finished interviewing him. Okay? He had to finish interviewing him before he could even release any of that stuff. Because he didn't want to screw up the future interviews that he was going to do with him. All right?
And some of the stuff that he got at first, he was having a hard time believing what he was hearing.
Yeah.
So it had to be corroborated by multiple interviews.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, they're using that as a big argument. Well, then why didn't he tell America when he heard all of this? Well, what, to be called a liar earlier than you normally would be by doing
Number
it later?
one, he wasn't president.
No, he's a journalist. He's a journalist, and he has to write the book. Just because he has the information doesn't mean he's got to collate it into a cohesive work.
Let's say that, he got information that there's a huge asteroid that's going to hit 24 hours.
That's a different situation altogether, Bree.
Yeah, but
it's a different situation. This is, what did he say? What didn't he say? What did he really feel, as opposed to what he was saying? It's a whole different thing. It's not, hey, an asteroid's going to hit the Earth, and I better not tell anybody. Because they're going to find out pretty goddamn fast. But this thing, if Trump had said to the American public what he said to Bob Woodward in those interviews, he could have saved 100,000 lives.
Yep.
Could have saved 100,000 lives if he had buttoned down.
He had his son-in-law whispering in his ear, though, that it was mostly impacting blue states, and they didn't care.
Well, yeah, that was one part of it, but the other part of it was he didn't want it to affect the stock market.
Right.
He was thinking of everything else but the welfare of the American public.
Yep.
Okay, and that's pretty damning. But to turn around and blame the messenger, Bree, is kind of going a bit far. The messenger delivered the message when he felt he had it in a coherent form that was unimpeachable. Okay.
You think Woodward matters though today, really?
Oh, well, obviously he does because everybody's
he's
quoting
gonna have
him.
an impact.
Yeah, he's had an
have
impact.
an impact.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
I believe his writing, to me, I see him as a Hollywood scriptwriter. He writes everything in a manner to exert the maximum amount of sort of emotional impact. So he's a scriptwriter.
What's wrong with that?
I don't think he calls balls and strikes fairly.
No, he reports, and he comes back to you with what he found out.
If he wants people to read his book, Bree, he's got to write it in a way that engages the reader.
I mean, he's a good writer, and
he takes poetic license. He takes artistic license.
Don't all writers take poetic license to some extent?
Yeah, Jeff. Jeff,
I don't think the issue is that he's a writer at this point. It's the important that he's everybody's listening to him is because of what Trump said.
Yeah, right. They're not listening to him. They're listening to Trump.
Something that is written,
right?
But it's actual out of Trump's mouth.
Yeah. Did you hear that question?
Trump says something different every day.
The rest of it doesn't count.
There were a couple of other interesting questions he asked him, one of which was, do you feel that being born into privilege has kind of toned what you think about people, about the world and people in general? And he said, oh, well, you're drinking that Kool-Aid, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what Kool-Aid is that?
I don't feel that way at all.
It's a perfectly legitimate question. I mean, I was raised in a white household in a completely white community, and it affected me and the way I perceive the rest of the world. I mean, I've managed to see around that, but you're a product of your environment. Josh, you've been quiet tonight. What do you think about all of this? I mean, did you pay any attention to the Woodward tapes, as it were?
I heard a little bit. If I guess if you don't like the way Woodward conducts him, his books, I mean, I guess don't read him. I mean, he's one reporter who does his work in a certain way. Some people like it, some people don't. I mean, some of the people that criticize his books, I wonder if they've ever read any of his books. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I've read 3 or 4 of his. I read The Agenda back when he wrote it about the Clinton administration. He wrote one called Obama's Wars a couple years ago. I mean, he's written a book about every presidential administration, usually at least one, sometimes more.
This is the second one for Trump, though.
So
the first one was called Fear. And Trump was not interviewed. He only talked to Trump people.
Right.
And that enraged Trump because he didn't get to talk to him.
I mean, so, if you don't like what Woodward does, I mean, that's fine. It's fair. But, I mean, I guess my problem sometimes with the left on that is, the job of the media is not to decide what's truth and what's not truth. It's to just put out there what people say, just report it. And then all of a sudden, they don't decide what truth is. They just put out what people said, and then people are mad at them for doing that.
Well, so, the thing is that you can argue about...
one way, it can't be both ways.
Yeah, I mean, but is Woodward supposed to, when he's writing a book like this, supposed to be considered like a reporter? Or is he someone who's out just getting a story and bringing it back to you?
He's not a reporter any longer.
He's not
retired.
He's not writing for a newspaper where everything he writes has to be vetted, I mean, a lot of these.
That's why I have the problem.
Well, no, but he does get vetted. He gets vetted by his publisher, who doesn't want to publish anything that can't be backed up.
I mean, he's reached a point where he can write what he wants. So that's what I'm saying. Then judge it on that's who he is. And if you don't like what he has, then don't. I mean, if you think everything he writes is horseshit, then don't buy his book.
Yeah.
If you think that he gets the inside scoop and that's what you want, then buy his book. Yeah. I mean, you know, whatever you want to do is fine. I mean, he's an author. I mean, I don't see him as, he's not a historian, and I don't really see him as a journalist. He's just, he's the NFL insider guy who reports you those little tidbits on the fucking 2-minute hits on ESPN that, you know, don't affect the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so if you like that stuff, then pay attention to it. If you don't like that stuff, then, you know, don't worry about it. I see the same thing with the Struck guy. I mean, so that guy's what, out selling a book now, and I'm supposed to like him? I mean, this guy fucked shit up from fucking day one, and now he wants to go make some money off of it? I mean, just get the hell out of the way. But if people
got to support himself somehow.
You know, but if people want to hear what he's got to say, he's allowed to write a book. They're allowed to buy it. If you send it to me, you know, straight to the fucking trash can. I don't care what the guy has to say.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's not helping matters, to be honest with you. If he really is anti-Trump, you know, and he really thinks it's that, he's not really helping by going out and putting on this fucking circus he's doing. I mean, you know, it's to make himself some money, which he's entitled to do, again, if that's what he wants. But I don't fucking care what I would go with, I would read Bob Woodward's book before I would read that guy's book.
I'll tell you what, the thing that bothers me, I think, is like I'll watch MSNBC and they'll have somebody on like Trump's niece. And then they will fawn all over her. They never challenge anything she's saying. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she does have her side of the story. But, you know, just because she says, I think he's a terrible guy, doesn't mean she's right. But they're wanting to hear what they're wanting to hear. And so they don't ever challenge her. I was watching her tonight.
The book too.
I mean,
she wants to make
it's no different on both sides. I mean, you know.
That's right.
Trump does the interviews, Woodward writes the book, and then the book is not favorable. So Trump, you know, immediately is on television or in speeches the next day. Oh, this whack job guy, Bob Woodward. Okay, so Bob Woodward is a whack job, but yet you, the president of the United States, took hours and hours out of your day on multiple occasions to talk to this guy.
To talk to whack job.
So you're either fucking stupid or he's got it right.
Yeah.
But either way,
he's part of the media.
His people don't see it that way.
Hey, listen, we're running out of time. We're running out of time here, at least for this week. But I want to thank everybody for being here. Charlie Wallace and Robert. Always, boy, I like you a lot. Even though you idolized me when you were a kid, which, you know, was a big mistake on your part. Jeff, thank you so much. I enjoy having you here every night. Same thing with you, Josh. Anytime you can call, it's a smarter show. Same thing to Vernon Nunn. And where's the kid tonight, Brian?
They're sleeping. Boy. Sleeping.
Boy, she
passed out.
But she passed out yesterday, too. Wow.
Yeah, good.
That's what happens when you give her heroin. And Fred Sox or Mr. Sullivan, whatever your name is. Really, really enjoy having you here. And please call more, will you?
Sure.
I know she tried to call a couple of nights ago and then you gave up for some reason. But call more. You're terrific. And, of course, Bree, always good hearing from you from Kuala Lumpur. Yeah. Looks like you're next.
Thanks to everybody in the chat room on YouTube.
Okay, everybody. Why don't you wave goodbye, and I will wave goodbye back at you. Okay, there they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight, and I will get rid of them all and send them off to Zoom oblivion. Okay, but hey, there's a show coming on right after mine. It's Jack Bishop, and it's called The Intersection, and he uses Skype to talk to people, so you might want to warm up your Skype and give him a call. Okay. In the meantime, that's it for us for this week. We'll see you again. We might do a show on Monday at 4:00 like we have been doing, and then we will see you right here with the regular show, 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. Hey, I'm running overtime here. I better get out of here.